You know, a lot of those DPUs as well, Tom, are using ARM CPUs. And speaking of ARM, there was a lot of news about non-x86 technology in 2022. Could 2023 finally be the year of ARM in the data center, ARM in the cloud, or maybe RISC-V is going to sneak in and have a little bit of an impact? Let's talk about the news for these alternative platforms in 2022. So things kicked off with a bang at the end of last year and the beginning of this year when NVIDIA finally was blocked and ended up backing away from their acquisition of ARM. Now, this was going to be a real blockbuster and would have led NVIDIA to becoming basically an alternative supplier like Intel and AMD in basically every part of computing. Didn't happen, not going to happen. And we're still kind of up in the air about exactly what's going to happen to ARM in the future. But one thing we know for sure is that ARM is going to be doing a lot more, and there's going to be a lot more ARM CPUs out there. So in June, Ampere brought out their next generation Ampere platforms for servers that use ARM cores. We saw HPE announce that it's going to be using Ampere's Ultra ARM CPUs as well in the ProLiant. So there's a ProLiant with ARM cores in it now. And of course, we saw a lot of noise about ARM cores with Amazon at reInvent as well this year. Another thing we heard this year was a lot of news about lawsuits involving ARM. So as I mentioned, NVIDIA was forced to back off from their acquisition. Qualcomm bought a company called Nuvia last year, and they were planning on bringing these chips to market. We were speculating whether it would be in the mobile or the desktop or the cloud or embedded or where, but it sounds like they really did want to use them for servers, and ARM was having none of it. So back in August and September, we heard a lot about ARM deciding to sue Qualcomm over Nuvia. And that's still not resolved. It's probably not going to be resolved for a while. But I think it's safe to say that ARM is kind of doubling down on this space and trying to make sure that they're a major player in the server market as well. And of course, we heard about that as well in late September when ARM announced their next generation Neoverse cores. We also saw a sneak peek of ARM supporting CXL in these cores, which is pretty exciting. But of course, ARM is not the only alternative chipset or instruction set that we're hearing about. RISC-V pioneer Sci-Fi raised a bunch of cash back in March to combat ARM. They've got their own chips. They've been aggressively out there marketing these and licensing these and getting huge wins. A lot of these wins have been under the cover in embedded systems and hard drives and networking devices and so on. But this all kind of came out in the open later in the year. In fact, just last week, we talked about Ventana, a company that's going to be using RISC-V for data center CPUs. So think about it this way. In 2023, we're going to have many core, very functional data center CPUs with ARM and RISC-V, as well as, of course, Intel and AMD. And all of these platforms support the big technologies like PCIe 5, DDR5, and of course, CXL. So it's going to be really exciting to see where this goes in 2023 in the data center and in the cloud.